Dennis, you were briefly kind of providing an overview of, well, what does that third-party risk management system look like? You know, where do you start in order to manage the third-party risk? Where do you start and where do you end with that system? Could you kind of provide an overview of that system?
Well, to develop a risk model, you need to know who your third parties are. Many companies, large multinationals, have grown by acquisition. They use different ERP systems. They may not even know who their third parties are. They may not know how they're doing business in Italy or Estonia. They may not know whether they're using sales representatives, independent sales representatives, or whether they're using agents. They may not know what they're using to gain business in the Middle East. So it starts with an inventory of the third parties, talking to various individuals within the organization, and determining the types of third parties that exist, and subjectively trying to evaluate which ones are higher risk.
So why can't you just go into accounts payable and accounts receivable and quickly create a list and give them all a phone call and find out if they're creeps?
Well, I think generally what we find is that organizations have grown through acquisition. They have very disparate systems. I can think of one multinational company that has over 75 different iterations of SAP. None of them speak with each other. There's organizations that have centralized data warehousing functions. And what we've seen out of that is that companies simply don't maintain accurate records. And so even if you identify the relationships, the information within those relationship records that are currently maintained in procurement systems or ERPs is often incorrect or incomplete. So it's not uncommon for a company to not have an accurate email address or telephone number. And in many cases, companies don't even know if the information in the procurement system is current or accurate, i.e. whether or not a vendor or a customer is a current relationship.
Right. So it's sort of this inventory process, but it also sounds like a data cleansing process.
Very much so. So there's the process is often data, identifying your data sources, then aggregating that data, then normalizing the data, and then ultimately cleansing the data.
Okay.
And then often through that cleansing process, and that cleansing process being a big data process, if you would, once they actually take that third-party information and put it through their third-party management process or system, often companies will find as much as 25% of their third-party records are inactive. And so one of the benefits that companies get out of an effective and robust third-party management process is they end up, ironically, compliance generally ends up having the most accurate and up-to-date information about their third parties, more accurate than procurement.
But it's not always an easy process. If you're a chief compliance officer, you haven't probably operated throughout the world in the different business units, so you don't know what third parties are being used. So you really need to assemble a group of people that you can call upon. We've seen these engagements go from a fast-track risk model generation, which takes a day, when you have very knowledgeable people and you have a room full of people that know the business, to engagements that take 6 to 8 weeks in multiple interviews in different time zones. Sometimes a client will decide that the best way to approach it is to send out a questionnaire, a 50-question questionnaire that explores all aspects of third-party relationships. When they get that information back, they know a lot more about what they're doing around the world.